if we could. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Blevins? Mr. Blevins? Thank you. Mr. Blues? Here. Ms. Crosby? Here. Mr. DeCamp? Here. Mr. Ellinger? Here. Ms. Gorton? Here. Mr. Gray? Here. Ms. Henson? Here. Ms. James? Here. Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mr. McCord?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Dr. Stevens?
Present.
Mr. Stinnett? And Mr. Beard?
Present.
Thank you.
The quorum is present, so we'll proceed. It's my pleasure to ask Pastor Frank McClanahan of the Meadowthorpe Baptist Church to come to the podium to provide our invocation this evening.
Let's bow our hearts in prayer. Our Father and our God in heaven, we're thankful for this opportunity. We give you all honor and praise. And Father, we know that you rule in the armies of heaven and in the habits of the earth. We ask, Father, now on behalf of this council and our mayor, Mr. Newberry, that you would direct and the minds and the hearts of this council and these folks that are here to take care of business of our city. We ask you, Father, to be with us in all things, and we'll give you all the honor and praise. For it's in our Savior's name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Be seated, please.
We have a very special presentation this evening, so I would like for those who are involved to step forward to the podium, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present this very special award to two very deserving individuals tonight. On December 20th, 2007, the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission announced that Officer Brian Jarrett of the Lexington Division of Police was selected as one of 21 recipients of the Carnegie Medal. And on April 10th, 2008, Jessamine County Sheriff's Deputy John Sallee was named as one of the 22 Carnegie Medal recipients. Both are being recognized for their heroism associated with entering the cockpit and rescuing the severely injured co-pilot from the wreckage of Comair Flight 5191. We are honored to have with us this evening Mr. Walter Rakowski, the Executive Director and Secretary of the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission. Walter joined the Hero Fund in 1973 as a case investigator and was subsequently named Board Secretary, then Executive Director. The Hero Fund is a 104-year-old private foundation established by Andrew Carnegie and is based in Pittsburgh. The Hero Fund covers all of the United States and Canada, and 10 other Carnegie Hero Funds are located throughout the Western Europe. Before Mr. Rakowski's presentation, we would ask that you watch this brief overview of the history of the Carnegie Medal entitled Heroes Among Us.
On January 25, 1904, an explosion 200 feet underground rocked the Harwick coal mine, 15 miles north of Pittsburgh. 180 miners were working there on that bitterly cold day. Immediate calls for aid went out, and mine engineer Selwyn Taylor quickly responded. He and others entered the mine and brought 16-year-old Adolf Gunia to the surface. He was the only one of the miners to leave the mine alive. Selwyn Taylor tragically did not survive the rescue mission. He died soon after from the effects of the toxic gases. In another rescue attempt the next day, coal miner Daniel Lyle entered the mine despite the known dangers, but he too perished. 181 men died in the Harwick mine disaster. News of this awful tragedy traveled around the world. In a 64-room mansion in New York's Upper East Side, it caught the attention of Andrew Carnegie, the world's richest man. The deaths of the miners and the rescuers touched him so deeply that he would create an organization that would be, in his own words, without parallel in the history of human benevolence.
When he set up the commission, Carnegie focused on something that was of enduring value to human beings, and it's just as valuable today.
So we received a call from one of the folks that worked with the FAA. He said, I think we're missing an aircraft.
As I approached the river, the overwhelming thing was that this was as desperate as a scene could be. I was thinking that I have to try something, and so I just kept running until I got to the edge of the river, and then I just hopped in. I could live with myself if I attempted to do something and failed on that occasion. Even if I didn't survive it, I could figuratively live with that. If I did nothing, I don't know if I could live with that.
Heroes are people who put themselves in danger of life or serious injury to save the life of someone else. We ask, did they leave a place of safety? Did they put themselves in danger of death or serious injury? And the subsidiary question, did they understand that? And finally, did they do it to rescue another human being?
As I was making my way out toward them, I was yelling to them that I was coming out, because the object of this whole thing was to give them some measure of hope. If I could just buy them a little time, maybe somebody could do something. Maybe not me, but somebody could.
We shot an approach into the main wreckage area and immediately saw someone struggling in the water. We weren't really sure how long they'd been in the water, but we knew that time was critical.
So I told Don, well, let's go in right on top and pick this lady up, because it seems she's having some problems. So he did. He did a magnificent job of putting me right on top of her, and my end of the skid I was standing on out there went under the water, and that just allowed me, when I leaned over and got a hold of her, I could just float her right up on the skid with me.
Right away, he told me that we were taking on water and that the back of the aircraft was going into the water. So I had to compensate for his weight plus her weight to make sure the tail rotor didn't touch the water surface. And as soon as he said go, then I went. As we approached the shoreline, the rotor system was at forehead level, so we had to raise an altitude to not kill people on the shoreline.
They had dropped two lines from the helicopter. One girl grabbed one of them, then there was a man and a girl grabbed the other one. The guy's hanging onto the buoy and the girl's hanging on to him, and the helicopter starts coming towards the bank. First girl falls off, then second girl falls off, and she's on a slab of ice. She grabs the buoy again with both hands, starts towards the bank. The minute she comes off the ice slab, one of the arms comes out of the buoy. At that second, I'm taking my boots and my coat off, and I've decided I'm going in after her. So I make my way to the embankment, dive in the water, swim out to her, position myself behind her the best way I could. So I just grabbed her, give her a little push, get her head above water, and then firemen waded in, grabbed her, and then I swam off to the side, and that was mission accomplished.
10 minutes. That's all it was. I think a hero is somebody who does something because something inside wakes up and says, you've got to do that. And what they do is positive, and it does something that changes somebody's life. I think that's a hero.
I think the important thing in acknowledging heroic acts, heroic people, is that people come to see that the ones that they're looking up to as heroes are really no different from themselves, and that everyone has the capability of doing extraordinary things under extraordinary circumstances, and more importantly, that even under circumstances that are not extraordinary, that we all have the capability of helping each other, and we're at our best when we do that.
Our heroes are as different among themselves as all human beings are, but if there's a theme that runs through their reactions, it's a little bit of surprise and a little bit of humility, a little bit of disbelief that what they did was so very special. But one of the nice things about the commission and the award is that we're there to say, oh yes, it was special.
The Carnegie Hero Fund Commission awarded its first medal to 17-year-old Louis Bauman, who in 1904 saved a childhood friend from drowning. In 1956, Dorothy Koch was honored for saving 2 policemen during a shootout in a Cleveland nightclub. Dorothy was struck by a bullet and paralyzed for life. World-ranked boxer Rudell Stitch is one of only 4 people to have received the Carnegie Medal twice, in 1958 and again in 1960. He was involved in rescues near a dam on the Ohio River in Louisville, Kentucky. He and the victim survived the first, but both died in the second. Over its history, the Carnegie Hero Fund has awarded the Carnegie Medal to thousands of individuals who have risked their lives on behalf of others, and has distributed millions of dollars in grants, tuition, and other financial assistance to them and their families. It is an enormous legacy, representing thousands of lives saved, thousands of children who would be born and raised, work that would be done. The power and dignity of these actions resonates to this day when new heroes walk among us. On a busy street corner, Andy Johnson disarmed and subdued a man attacking a young woman with an 8-inch meat cleaver.
People always ask me why I did it, and I think it's because they're trying to figure out whether or not they would do it themselves.
When a sniper opened fire on her college campus, Holly Garlitz ran out into the line of fire to pull a wounded classmate to safety.
Things could have turned out so differently that day, but it's made me grateful for everything that I have.
While attending a ball game, Ramonda Freeman rescued a wounded boy from the middle of a gunfight between rival gangs.
He was just a kid, and I'm a mom, and I wasn't going to just leave him.
Helicopter pilots Kevin Caffrey and Jeffrey Miller executed a perilous and technically challenging rescue of a woman clinging to a small tree in the Niagara River.
When we get a call to go up in Niagara Falls, you're certainly your heart skips a beat. All it takes is one mistake.
What do the heroes have in common? It can be said about all of them that they have an ethic of caring. In one single inspired moment, one selfless act, they put another's life ahead of their own.
When you look back over our history, you see the medals and the people who won them. You think about the people whose lives were saved, the lives that were lost. It seems massive, but the thing we always remember is it was done one rescue at a time, one decision at a time, by one individual. And that's what we're honoring.
I do not expect to stimulate or create heroism by this fund, knowing well that heroic action is impulsive. The Hero Fund is for watching, applauding, and supporting the heroic action, wherever displayed and by whomever displayed. At least this is my hope.
At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Rakowski to come forward and present Officer Jared and Deputy Sully with their Carnegie medals.
Thank you, Chief. I would ask Officer Jared and Deputy Sally to join me at the podium. Mr. Mayor, members of council, Chief Baston, on behalf of the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission, thank you very much for making the opportunity available to us this evening. It's a distinguished event for us as well. As you've just seen, for more than a century, the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission has recognized extraordinary acts of selfless heroism throughout the United States and Canada. To date, 9,173 Carnegie medals have been awarded, 151 in Kentucky, and financial grants totaling more than $30 million have been given to the awardees, or to the families of those killed performing an act of heroism. A sobering statistic is that 21% of our awards are granted posthumously. Usually the award goes to those of us who are common citizens, those whose jobs do not carry the charge of overseeing the safety of the general public. On occasion, however, acts of life-saving performed under extreme conditions by professionals set themselves apart to beg a wider audience. To say these men and women act above and beyond the call of duty is understatement, when in truth their actions approach the limits of human capability and resolve. The day we are calling to mind this evening is one of great sadness for the Lexington community. Our hearts go out to the families of those 49 individuals killed in the Calm Air tragedy and to those who continue to deal with its aftermath. Insofar as comprehension and acceptance and healing are possible, may they be blessed in obtaining it. The aspect of August 27, 2006 that we attempt to articulate here reflects on the professionalism and devotion of those agencies called to respond. Within minutes of the crash, Officer Brian Thomas Jarrett of the Lexington Division of Police was on the scene to discover unspeakable effects and virtually intolerable conditions. The heat of the plane's burning body was such as to keep him 60 feet from it. Advancing toward the severed cockpit, he looked through a gap in the wreckage to find the plane's co-pilot, its first officer, strapped in and suspended above. We have found that hope of life is an extreme prompt. As flames issued from the cockpit's nearby escape hatch, Officer Jarrett entered the wreckage and tugged to save a world. The co-pilot did not budge. Arriving about then was Officer John R. Sally, one of two immediately responding officers of the Bluegrass Airport Department of Safety. He too entered the wreckage of the cockpit and knew to urge Officer Jarrett to push the co-pilot up to release his safety belt. With Officer Sally then releasing the belt, the co-pilot dropped. With difficulty, the two officers then freed him completely of the clutch of the wreckage and pulled him out of it. Helped by the second arriving airport officer, the victim, James M. Polhinky, the only survivor of the crash, was sped to treatment and to resumption of life itself. To these gentlemen standing with me, may I be so bold as to say that you reflected well not only on your departments and your performance with them, not only on yourselves and those who raised, guided, and trained you, but on mankind itself, as you were simply the best that we could offer to a soul in desperate need, tried as you were by fire on a minute's notice. Officer Jarrett, civilized society is herewith pausing to acknowledge not your devotion to duty, but your devotion to mankind, offered at potential of great cost. It is with deep humility and respect that we award you the Carnegie Medal. Officer Sally, the Bible verse that appears on your medal says that no one has greater love for his fellow man than to lay down his life for him. It is our great honor to award you the Carnegie Medal. Thank you.
Mr. Rutkowski, thank you for your willingness to come to Lexington to make this a very special day for all of us. With us tonight we have my predecessor, former Chief Beatty, and Sheriff Kevin Corman from the Jessamine County Sheriff's Office, who's the employer of John Selle now. Thank you all for coming tonight. Our community still mourns the lives lost that tragic morning. We're truly grateful for the actions of these two heroes. The bravery of Bluegrass Airport Department of Public Safety Officer James Maupin, who's also here tonight, and the courage of the countless other first responders who rushed to the scene that fateful day. We're indeed fortunate that there are many heroes among us who serve and protect our citizens every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And on behalf of a community very grateful for your service, let me say to Deputy Sally and Officer Jared, thank you very much. As was said in the video a few moments ago, your conduct really was special. And it is the kind of conduct that I am confident many others involved in our Department of Public Safety and police and fire and others would replicate when called into a similar situation. So thank you very, very much for your service. And Mr. Burkowski, let me say thank you for the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission having recognized these two very special individuals. Thank you for being here this evening. With that special presentation completed, Madam Clerk, we'll turn the microphone over to you for the reading of ordinances entitled to second reading.
Ordinance number 1, an ordinance accepting the bid of Garney Construction Incorporated in the amount of $11,451,451 for the North Elkhorn Forest Main Project and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 162. Number 2, an ordinance accepting the bid of HMC Service Company in the amount of $33,895 and the bid of TP Mechanical Contractors in the amount of $58,550 for boiler replacements for the Phoenix Building, Government Center Annex, and Downtown Arts Center and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 161. Number 3, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute and submit a grant application to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application and to accept this grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $40,000 federal funds are for continuation of the traffic safety program for the Division of Police, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County Government for the expenditure of $40,000 as a local match, appropriating funds pursuant to FY 2009 Schedule Number 2, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 4, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute and submit a grant application to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application and to accept this grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $173,458 federal funds are for operation of the MASH drop-in facility, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County Government for the expenditure of $17,346 to be provided by the MASH drop-in operating budget, appropriating funds pursuant to FY 2009 Schedule Number 1, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 5, an ordinance amending Section 21.5 of the Code of Ordinances, abolishing 2 positions of Plant Operations Supervisor Senior, Grade 117E, and creating 2 positions of Plant Operations Supervisor Senior, Water and Air Quality Control, Grade 118E, and reclassifying the incumbents in the Division of Water and Air Quality and appropriating funds pursuant to Budget Schedule Number 158. Number 6, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute and submit a grant application to the Kentucky Department of Education, Division of School and Community Nutrition, to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application and to accept this grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $155,580 federal funds are for the 2008 Summer Food Service Program, the acceptance of which does not obligate the Urban County Government for the expenditure of funds, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 166 and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 7, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute and submit a grant application to the Bluegrass Area Development District to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application and to accept this grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $83,980 federal funds are for the operation of the Senior Citizen Center in FY 2009, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County Government for the expenditure of $139,390 as a local match, appropriating funds pursuant to FY 2009 Schedule Number 3, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 8, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute and submit the 2008 Consolidated Plan grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application and to accept the grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $3,508,372 federal funds are for the FY09 Community Development Block Grant Program, $2,045,837. Home Program, $1,356,982. Emergency Shelter Grant Program, $91,408. And the American Dream Down Payment Initiative, $14,145. The acceptance of which obligates the Irvine County government for the expenditure of $319,323 from various funding sources as local cash match and $67,408 in-kind match, appropriating funds pursuant to FY 2009 Schedule Number 4, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget, and authorizing the mayor to execute agreements for the approved plan. Number 9, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Irvine County government to accept a grant from the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, which grant funds are in the amount of $23,393 federal funds, are for the purchase of Regent Instamesh breadcrumb deployable 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi wireless system for the Division of Fire and Emergency Services, the acceptance of which does not obligate the Irvine County government for the expenditure of funds, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 160, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 10, an ordinance amending Section 21.5 of the Code of Ordinances, creating one position of Municipal Engineer Senior, Grade 119E, and amending Section 22.5 of the Code of Ordinances, creating one temporary position of Municipal Engineer Senior, Grade 119E, and one temporary position of Municipal Engineer Senior Part-Time, Grade 119E, both for a term of 4 years, ending April 24, 2012, all within the Division of Water and Air Quality, appropriating funds pursuant to Budget Schedule Number 157. Number 11, an ordinance amending Section 22.5 of the Code of Ordinances, creating two positions of Social Worker Senior Part-Time, Grade 113E, and abolishing one position of Social Worker Senior, Grade 113E, and reclassifying the incumbent in the Division of Adult Services and appropriating funds pursuant to Budget Schedule Number 159. Number 12, an ordinance amending Section 5-1 of the Code of Ordinances to adopt the current edition of the Kentucky Uniform Statewide Mandatory Building Code and the Kentucky Residential Code, and to provide that the Division of Building Inspection is under the general supervision of the Commissioner of Public Works and Development. Number 13, an ordinance amending Section 3 and 4 of Ordinance Number 34-2008 to provide that the 30% discount program established therein shall be available to citizens receiving Social Security disability benefits who are otherwise qualified under this section, to limit eligibility to only one discount program and to correct a clerical error. Number 14, an ordinance requiring that no building permit for a new structure or expansion of any existing structure by more than 25% in floor area shall be issued for any structure on property abutting Newtown Pike between West Main Street and the urban service area boundary, unless the plans submitted in conjunction therewith are in accordance with a particular landscape profile, requiring that each property owner be responsible for any and all landscaping and fencing required to be installed upon his property under the terms of this ordinance, requiring that whenever issuance of a building permit requires prior approval of a development plan or subdivision plat, that the requirements of this ordinance be included on such development plan or such subdivision plat, and authorizing the Corridors Committee on recommendation from the Division of Building Inspection to approve an alternative landscape plan if the topography of the land, existing utility easements, and or other unique factors would not permit the property owner to comply with the requirements of this ordinance. Number 15, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Irvine County government to accept a donation from Kentucky American Water Company in the amount of $5,000 for the Reforest the Bluegrass Project and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 165. Number 16, an ordinance authorizing the Division of Enhanced 911 to purchase 2 911 routers and associated equipment, licenses, software, and support for Solacom Technologies, Inc., a sole source provider for implementation of a regional 911 system at a cost not to exceed $195,835, and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 164. And number 17, an ordinance amending certain of the budgets of the Lexington Fayette Urban County government to reflect current requirements for municipal expenditures and appropriating and reappropriating funds, Schedule Number 156.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinances that have received their second reading. Is there a motion? Councilmember Stevens has moved to approve those ordinances and have a second by Councilmember Crosby. Any discussion? I'm sorry. Councilmember James, I'm sorry. I had the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Those in favor of those ordinances, please indicate by voting aye electronically. Those opposed, vote nay. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Blues? Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. DeCamp? Yes. Mr. Ellinger? Yes. Ms. Gorton? Aye. Mr. Gray? Ms. Henson? Ms. James?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCord?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Stevens?
Aye.
Dr. Stevens?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Stinnett? And Mr. Beard?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those ordinances are approved. Madam Clerk, if you'll give first reading to the ordinances that are entitled to first reading.
Mayor?
Councilmember Blues.
Before we begin the first readings, I'd like to make a motion, if I may.
That would be appropriate.
Okay. With reference to items 21 and 22, the proposed ordinances on the cost of living increases for the council and the mayor. In the second paragraph of each draft ordinance, it now reads, whereas as a result of economic conditions, only limited cost of living increases will be approved for the Urban County government officers' employees in the FY 2009 budget. I would like to delete the word will and replace it with the word may. So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Blues and a second by Councilmember Gordon to make the amendment to items 21 and 22 as specified. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Both 21 and 22 are amended accordingly. Madam Clerk, if you'll give first reading.
Okay, we'll start with ordinance number 1 and number 18, excuse me. An ordinance changing the zone from a planned neighborhood residential R3 zone to a light industrial I1 zone for 13.63 net, 13.63 gross acres of property located at 2040 Sandersville Road, a portion of, subject to certain use and buffering restrictions imposed as conditions of granting the zone change. Woodall Realty Company, LLC. Number 19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute a Fifth Amendment to agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for $28,600 in additional federal funds for design of the West Hickman Trail, to the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County government for the expenditures of $7,150 as a local match and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 168. Number 20, an ordinance creating Section 17-291.1 subsection C of the Code of Ordinances to provide for the removal of encroaching tables, chairs, and other vestiges of an outdoor cafe by the Urban County government from a business that is operating without a permit, to amend sections 17-29.3 subsection C and 17-29.5 of the Code to provide for the Department of Public Works and Development instead of the Department of Public Safety, to create section 17-29.5 subsection C of the Code to provide for automatic revocation of a permit in the event of a business is noticed of 3 or more violations relating to encroaching upon pedestrian and vehicular traffic within any 30-day period, and to renumber the existing subsections to be consistent with the above. Number 21, as amended, an ordinance waiving the provisions of ordinance number 11297, which provide for a cost of living for the mayor during the calendar year 2008. Number 22, as amended, an ordinance waiving the provisions of ordinance number 95-97, which provided for cost of living increases for the council members during calendar year 2008. Number 23, an ordinance amending certain of the budgets of the Lexington Fayette Urban County government to reflect current requirements for funds in the amount of $825 for the Division of Police from neighborhood development funds for boxing classes conducted by the Police Activities League, and appropriating and reappropriating funds, Schedule Number 178. 24, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute and submit a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Services Office to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application, and to accept this grant if the application is approved, which grant funds are in the amount of $327,355 federal funds are for the purchase of their thermal imaging equipment for the Division of Police Air Support Unit, the acceptance of which does not obligate the Urban County government for the expenditure of funds, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 171, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. 25, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to accept a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Office of Highway Safety which grant funds are in the amount of $15,000. Federal funds are for participation in the May 2008 Click It or Ticket Safety Belt Enforcement Mobilization Project, the acceptance of which does not obligate the Urban County government for the expenditure of funds, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 170, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 26, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to accept a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, which grant funds are in the amount of $208,000. Federal funds are for the Newtown Pike Landscaping Project, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County government for the expenditure of $52,000 as a local match, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 174, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 27, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to accept a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, which grant funds are in the amount of $700,000. Federal funds are for construction of the Coldstream Park Trail, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County government for the expenditure of $176,125 as a local match, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 176, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 28, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to accept a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, which grant funds are in the amount of $650,000. Federal funds are for the construction of the Trown Branch Trail Phase 3, the acceptance of which obligates the Urban County government for the expenditure of $247,950 as a local match, appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 177, and authorizing the mayor to transfer unencumbered funds within the grant budget. Number 29, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to accept donations of $2,000 from National City Corporation and $1,000 from M&M Sanitation for the 2008 Senior Intern Program, and appropriating funds pursuant to Schedule Number 175. Number 30, an ordinance amending Section 21.5 of the Code of Ordinances, abolishing one position of Director Water and Air Quality, Grade 122E, and creating one position of Director Water Quality, Grade 123E, and reclassifying the incumbent in the Division of Water and Air Quality, and appropriating funds pursuant to Budget Schedule Number 172. Number 31, an ordinance amending Section 21.5 of the Code of Ordinances, abolishing 4 positions of Electrical Instrumentation Tech, Grade 113N, and creating 4 positions of Electrician, Grade 114N, and reclassifying the incumbents in the Division of Water and Air Quality to become effective retroactive to September 3rd, 2007, and abolishing 1 position of Electrical Instrumentation Tech, Grade 113N, and creating 1 position of Electrician, Grade 114N, and reclassifying the incumbent in the Division of Water and Air Quality, appropriating funds pursuant to Budget Schedule Number 173. 32, an ordinance amending certain of the budgets of the Lexington Fayette Urban County government to reflect current requirements for funds in the amount of $1,000 for the Division of Historic Preservation from Neighborhood Development Funds for Historic Preservation Week activities, and appropriating and reappropriating funds, Schedule Number 179. And number 33, an ordinance amending certain of the budgets of the Lexington Fayette Urban County government to reflect current requirements for municipal expenditures, and appropriating and reappropriating funds, Schedule Number 169.
Thank you very much. That concludes the reading of the ordinances entitled to first reading. If there are no motions, and I see none, we'll proceed to the reading of resolutions entitled to second reading. Madam Clerk.
Excuse me, Mayor. It's number 42. I was in resolution 42. Has that been read? First reading.
We're on resolutions entitled to second reading right now.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm out
That's
of
all right.
sequence here.
Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 1, a resolution accepting the bid of Ford Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $99,500 for the Wildwood Park and Johnson Heights Park Bridge replacements. Number 2, a resolution accepting the bid of Premium Pressure Washing in the amount of $21,932 for pressure washing garages. Number 3, a resolution accepting the bids of Davis H. Elliott Construction Company Incorporated and Arrow Electric Company Incorporated, establishing price contracts for inductive loop vehicle detection and installation for the Division of Traffic Engineering. Number 4, a resolution accepting the bid of Mary's Cleaning Service, establishing a price contract for janitorial services for the Gainesway Police Roll Call, PAL Empowerment, and Youth Centers. Number 5, a resolution accepting the bid of R&L Cleaning Service, establishing a price contract for janitorial services for the Coleman House. Number 6, a resolution accepting the bids of G&G Paving and Construction Incorporated, LM Asphalt Partners Limited, doing business as ATS Construction, Randall Davies Construction Incorporated, the Allen Company Incorporated, Tom Chestnut Excavation and Construction LLC, Gooch Construction Incorporated, Conhurst LLC, ASL Excavation Incorporated, Lighthouse Plumbing LLC, Linco Excavation, Jason Tate Contractor Incorporated, Todd Johnson Constructing Incorporated, and Bluegrass Contracting Corporation establishing a unit price contract for construction for the Division of Engineering. Number 7, a resolution accepting the bid of the Walker Company of Kentucky Incorporated establishing price contract for operation of the construction and demolition debris landfill. Number 8, a resolution authorizing the Division of Fire and Emergency Services to purchase broadband communications equipment and related facilities from Natural Information Systems Incorporated, a sole source provider for the mobile command post at a cost not to exceed $25,225. Number 9, a resolution approving the granting of an inducement to Braden Partners, LP, doing business as Pacific Pulmonary Services pursuant to the Kentucky Jobs Development Act by allowing all of its employees whose jobs have been deemed by the Kentucky Jobs Development Authority to have been created as a result of Braden Partners, LP, doing business as Pacific Pulmonary Services, relocating its operations to Fayette County, and who are paying the Service and Technology Job Creation Assessment Fee to have their occupational license fee reduced by 1/5 of the assessment fee for a term of not longer than 10 years for the activation date established by Braden Partners, LP, doing business as Pacific Pulmonary Services, subject to the limitations contained in the Kentucky Jobs Development Act and taking other related action. Number 10, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a memorandum of agreement with Blackburn Correctional Complex for the provision of emergency response assistance to Blackburn Correctional Complex at no cost to the Urban County Government. Number 11, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a purchase of service agreement with Bluegrass Comprehensive Care Center for substance abuse treatment for adolescents at a cost not to exceed $80,000. Number 12, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an agreement with Lexington Center Corporation for renovation of the Lexington Opera House at a cost not to exceed $425,000. A little bit better. Number 13, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute agreements with Glendover Elementary PTA Incorporated, $1,100, and Young Marines Captain Reginald Underwood, Unit $875 for the office of the Urban County Council at a cost not to exceed the sums stated. Number 14, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed from William H. Flannery for the property located at 400 Meadow Park for the Meadows Northland Arlington Phase 3B Improvements Project at a cost not to exceed $66,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 15, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to accept a donation of 90 loads of field dirt valued at $4,050 for use in various parks locations. Number 16, a resolution ratifying the probationary civil service appointments of Cheryl Cross, Administrative Specialist, grade 110N, 19.544 hourly in the Division of Revenue, effective April 14, 2008. Freddie Pensinger, Equipment Operator Senior, grade 109N, 14.359 hourly in the Division of Streets, Roads, and Forestry, effective March 31, 2008. Mitchell Kuiper, Equipment Operator Senior, grade 109N, 14.359 hourly in the Division of Streets, Roads, and Forestry, effective April 14, 2008. David Price, Laboratory Supervisor, grade 114E, $2,083.92 biweekly in the Division of Water and Air Quality, effective April 14, 2008. Jonathan Cole, Electrical Instrumentation Technician, grade 113N, 19.318 hourly in the Division of Water and Air Quality, effective April 14, 2008. Ratifying the permanent civil service appointments of Tamara Audifer, Staff Assistant Senior, grade 108N in the Division of Police, effective March 17, 2008. Timothy Smith, Public Service Worker, grade 106N in the Division of Parks and Recreation, effective April 15, 2008. Sharon Bradley, Customer Service Specialist, grade 110N in the Division of Government Communications, effective April 1, 2008. Candace Bird, Customer Service Specialist, grade 110N in the Division of Government Communications, effective April 1, 2008. Judy Higgins, Revenue Compliance Auditor, grade 114E in the Division of Revenue, effective March 17, 2008. Robert Riney, Revenue Compliance Auditor Supervisor, grade 116E in the Division of Revenue, effective March 17, 2008. Susan Bowie, Revenue Compliance Auditor Senior, grade 115E in the Division of Revenue, effective March 17, 2008. Lyndon Leonard, Administrative Specialist Senior, grade 112N in the Division of Revenue, effective March 17, 2008. Joseph Davis, Public Service Worker Senior, grade 107N in the Division of Parks and Recreation, effective April 29, 2008. Ratifying the probationary sworn appointments of Kevin Goldie, Police Sergeant, grade 315N, 26.388 hourly in the Division of Police, effective March 14, 2008. Gary Sennett, Police Lieutenant, grade 317E, 2007-52-46 biweekly in the Division of Police, effective March 14, 2008. ratifying the permanent sworn appointments of David Ades, Fire Major, Grade 318E, in the Division of Fire and Emergency Services, effective March 17, 2008. Harold Miracle, Fire Captain, Grade 316N, in the Division of Fire and Emergency Services, effective March 17, 2008. Christopher Whited, Fire Lieutenant, Grade 315N, in the Division of Fire and Emergency Services, effective March 17, 2008. Approving leave of absences for Tammy Hayden, Telecommunicator, Grade 111N, in the Division of Enhanced 911. Request a 30-day council-approved leave without pay from March 27, 2008 to April 25, 2008. Kenneth Kennedy, Public Service Worker, Grade 106N, in the Division of Waste Management, requests a 30-day council-approved leave without pay from March 21, 2008 to April 19, 2008. Shelley Bindall, Dean Preparedness Coordinator, Grade 113N, in the Division of Environmental and Emergency Management, requests a 90-day council-approved leave without pay from April 25, 2008 to July 23, 2008. Arnold Sidney, Custodial Worker, Grade 102N, in the Division of Building Maintenance and Construction, requests a 30-day council-approved leave without pay from April 1, 2008 to April 30, 2008. Wanda Webb, Staff Assistant Senior, Grade 108N, in the Division of Engineering, requests a 90-day council-approved leave without pay from April 1, 2008 to June 29, 2008. Number 17, a resolution authorizing the Division of Enhanced 911 to purchase 911 channel bank and routing equipment from Adtran Incorporated, the sole source provider for implementation of a regional 911 system at a cost not to exceed $23,272. Number 18, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a contract with Environmental Services with Bluegrass Environmental Incorporated for remedial underground storage tank work, the cost to be reimbursed by the Kentucky Division of Waste Management. Number 19, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a network services contract with Insight Kentucky Partners 2 LP for provision of fiber optic connection for the Division of Fire and Emergency Services at a cost not to exceed $11,400 per year for a 3-year period, subject to sufficient funds being appropriated. Number 20, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for installation of a massed arm system pole at the intersection of Star Chute Parkway and Liberty Road at a cost not to exceed $48,406.27. 21, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute agreements with Isaac Scott Hathaway Museum Incorporated, $1,750, and YMCA of Central Kentucky, $1,500 for the Office of the Urban County Council at a cost not to exceed the sum stated. Number 22, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an agreement with Woodfield Homes Association Incorporated, $2,489.06 for a public project for the Office of the Urban County Council at a cost not to exceed the sum stated. 23, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an encroachment agreement with the Fayette County Board of Education in the right-of-way at 460 and 461 Spring Hill Drive. 24, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an encroachment agreement with G&J Pepsi Cola Bottlers Incorporated in the right-of-way at 111 Trafton Avenue. 25, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Kentucky State Police to participate in the Kentucky Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force at no cost to the Urban County Government. Number 26, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute an amended agreement and an amended deed of permanent easement with Keeneland Association Incorporated to provide sanitary sewer service to additional facilities owned by Keeneland Association Incorporated. Number 27, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute change order number 2 to the contract with Todd Johnson Contracting Incorporated for Hamburg Force Main, increasing the contract price by the sum of $8,007.20 from $375,390.59 to $383,397.79. 28, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to accept a donation from the Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association of computer supplies for use at the Division of Police Crimes Against Children Unit at no cost to the Urban County Government. Number 29, a resolution authorizing and directing the Department of Law to institute condemnation proceedings in Fayette Circuit Court to obtain permanent sanitary sewer and temporary construction easements at 1637 Old Paris Road for the North Elkhorn Force Main project. Number 30, a resolution authorizing and directing the Department of Law to institute condemnation proceedings in Fayette Circuit Court to obtain permanent sanitary sewer and temporary construction easements at 1645 Old Paris Road for the North Elkhorn Force Main project. Stop.
Councilmember Gordon.
Yes, Mayor. There is a typo in numbers 31, 32, 33, and 34 all of which should say the Derby Drive Stormwater Project, not the North Limestone Stormwater Project. So I move to, I've been told this will not be a material change, so I move to change the wording of 31, 32, 33, and 34 to replace North Limestone Stormwater Project with Derby Drive Stormwater Project. So moved.
I have a second to Councilmember Gordon's motion by Councilmember James. Any discussion? Those in favor of the amendment, please let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Make sure I get this right when I read it now. Okay, number 31, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 276 Derby Drive from James Deaton for the Derby Drive Stormwater Project. Is that right? Yes. And authorizing payment in the amount of $107,300 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 32, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 280 Derby Drive from Tammy and Kara Warner for the Derby Drive Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $130,200 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 33, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 284 Derby Drive from Roger Dale and Sandra Collins for the Derby Drive Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $108,700 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 34, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 288 Derby Drive from Lionel J. Alcione for the Derby Drive Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $99,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 35, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 905 North Limestone from Anna F. Trowbridge, known as Anna F. Miller for the North Limestone Storm Water Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $81,700 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 36, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 907 North Limestone from Anthony R. and Karen A. Collins for the North Limestone Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $79,200 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 37, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for property located at 909 North Limestone from Robert and Heather Walter for the North Limestone Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $99,200 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. And number 38, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a deed for the property located at 1001 North Limestone from Pedro and Magdalena Arambul for the North Limestone Stormwater Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $71,700 plus usual and appropriate closing costs.
Thank you very much. That concludes the reading of the resolutions entitled to second reading. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilmember Stevens and a second by someone. Tom Blues. Councilmember Blues had the second. Is there any discussion? We'll get you the next one. I happen to be looking left instead of right. If there's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Those in favor of those resolutions, please indicate by voting aye electronically. Those opposed, vote nay electronically. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Blues? Yes. Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. DeCamp?
Yes.
Mr. Ellinger?
Yes.
Ms. Gorton?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Ms. Henson? Yes. Ms. James? Yes. Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCord?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Stinnett? And Mr. Beard?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Those resolutions are approved. Madam Clerk, if you'll give first reading to the resolutions entitled to first reading.
Mayor, I have a motion before Susan begins reading.
All right.
This is for an amendment of resolution number 57, and I move that item number 57 under first reading resolutions be amended to increase the purchase price from $34,000 to $37,000 to reflect current value. I just need a second. Thank you.
I have a motion by Councilmember James and a second by Councilmember Blues. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of amending Resolution 57 as indicated, please let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. If there are no further motions, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 39, a resolution accepting the bid of Gulf States Distributors establishing a price contract for patrol rifles for the Division of Police. Number 40, a resolution accepting the bid of Brentag Mid-South Incorporated establishing a price contract for swimming pool chemicals. Number 41, a resolution accepting the bid of J. Edinger & Son Incorporated establishing a price contract for front-loading refuse bodies for the Division of Fleet Services. 42, a resolution accepting the bid of Fritz Farms Services, LLC, establishing a price contract for the lease of land for the West Hickman Wastewater Treatment Plant. Number 43, a resolution accepting the bids of Bobcat Enterprise Incorporated, Equipment Sales and Rental, Sunbelt Rentals, and Wilson Equipment Company, establishing price contracts for equipment rental without operator for the Division of Streets, Roads, and Forestry. Number 44, a resolution accepting the bid of Easy Go Textron, establishing a price contract for golf carts, single rider. Number 45, a resolution accepting the bid of Global Protection, establishing a price contract for hospital PPE kits. And number 46, a resolution accepting the bid of DC Elevator Company Incorporated, establishing a price contract for elevator and lift maintenance. Number 47, a resolution accepting the bids of Asplund Tree Expert Company, Owen Tree Specialty Corporation, and Lexington Tree Service Incorporated, establishing price contracts for tree removal and pruning for the Division of Streets, Roads, and Forestry. Number 48, a resolution accepting the bid of CNC Fire Sprinkler in the amount of $87,700 for Kenwick Community Center Fire Suppression Sprinkler. Number 49, a resolution accepting the bid of Security Cameras Direct LP in the amount of $15,786 for PTZ camera system for GTV3. Number 50, a resolution accepting the bid of Independent Concrete Pipe Company in the amount of $100,224.36 for prefabricated culvert Appomattox Road for the Division of Water and Air Quality. Number 51, a resolution accepting the bid of Asphalt Paving and Maintenance Incorporated in the amount of $69,987.75 for Southland Park parking lot modifications. 52, a resolution accepting the bid of Simplex Grinnell in the amount of $58,296 for sprinkler system repairs. 53, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute and submit a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice and to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application, which grant funds are in the amount of $125,561 federal funds under the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program and are for reimbursement of costs related to the incarceration of undocumented criminal aliens. Number 54, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute an agreement with Vision Internet Proprietors Incorporated for website development and maintenance services and authorizing payment in the amount not to exceed $44,998. Number 55, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute an agreement with Bluegrass Council of Boy Scouts of America Incorporated, $1,950 for the office of the Auburn County Council at a cost not to exceed the sum stated. Number 56, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed for the property located at 407 Shawnee Avenue from Patsy B. Wells for the Meadows Northland Arlington Phase 3B Improvements Project, and authorizing payment in the amount of $55,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 57, as amended, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed for the property located at 408 Shawnee Avenue from Northwest Builders of Lexington Incorporated for the Meadows Northland Arlington Phase 3B Improvements Project, and authorizing payment in the amount of $37,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 58, a resolution ratifying the probationary civil service appointments of Anthony Owens, Public Service Supervisor, grade 111N, 16.752 hourly in the Division of Water and Air Quality, effective April 14, 2008. ratifying the permanent civil service appointments of Henry Measle, Program Coordinator, grade 109N, in the Division of Family Services, effective December 25th, 2007. Danny Stevens, Public Service Worker, grade 106N, in the Division of Parks and Recreation, effective April 29, 2008. Amber Llewellyn, Recreation Supervisor, grade 110E, in the Division of Parks and Recreation, effective December 25th, 2007. Elaine Dion, Administrative Specialist Senior, grade 112N, in the Division of Revenue, effective March 26, 2008. G. Christine Wu, Staff Assistant, grade 107N, in the Division of Building Inspection, effective May 12, 2008. Alan Hinkle, Computer Analyst, grade 115E, in the Division of Computer Services, effective April 22, 2008. Approving leave of absence for Patricia Prather, Customer Service Specialist, grade 110N, in the Division of Government Communications, requests a 90-day council-approved leave without pay from March 31 to June 2008 to June 28, 2008. Franklin Martin, Skilled Trades Worker, Senior, grade 112N, in the Division of Building Maintenance and Construction, requests a 90-day council-approved leave without pay from April 17 to 2008 to July 15, 2008. Are you looking for that one? Are you looking for that one? Number 59, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a grant and submit a grant application to the Kentucky Department of Juvenile Justice, and to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application, which grant funds are in the amount of $457,434 Commonwealth of Kentucky funds and are for the operation of the day treatment program, $307,434, and the intensive community services program, $150,000 for the Division of Youth Services. Number 60, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute an agreement with the Lexington-Fayette County Health Department for establishment of a medical reserve corps under the Metropolitan Medical Response System project at a cost not to exceed $25,000. Number 61, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute an agreement with services with the YMCA of Central Kentucky for the corporate wellness program for the period of January 1, 2008 through December 31, 2008 at a cost not to exceed $62,690. Number 62, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute an agreement with AMS Planning and Research Corporation for the Lyric Theater Programming and Business Plan at a cost not to exceed $57,000. Number 63, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute agreements with the Ellsford Place Association Incorporated, $1,000, Garden Springs Neighborhood Association Incorporated, $500, Lexington Centers Participants Council Incorporated, $1,050, CASA of Lexington Incorporated, $2,150, Central Kentucky Writing for Hope Incorporated, $1,925, and Zandale Neighborhood Association Incorporated, $540 for the Office of the Auburn County Council at a cost not to exceed the sums stated. Number 64, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a lease agreement with Board of Education of Fayette County, Kentucky for lease of Meadowbrook Golf Course until November 15, 2008, which shall supersede the term set forth in Resolution Number 115, 2008. Number 65, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a commercial contract with the Lamar Companies for production of vinyl artwork for disaster preparedness for the Division of Environmental and Emergency Management at a cost not to exceed $954. Number 66, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute change order number 1 to the contract with the Allen Company Incorporated for the Wellington Bike and Pedestrian Facility Project, decreasing the contract price by the sum of $25,137.55 from $168,383 to $143,245.45. Number 67, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed for the property located at 1651 Old Paris Road from Lurleen Thompson, Annette Lane, and Ralph E. Lane for the North Elkhorn Forest Main project, and authorizing payment in the amount of $17,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 68, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Auburn County government to execute a certificate of consideration and accept a deed conveying a permanent sanitary sewer easement and temporary construction easement from James and Marcia B. Chisholm, located at 3077 Todds Road, for the Cadentown Sanitary Sewer Project at no cost to the Auburn County government with usual and appropriate closing cost. Number 69, a resolution amending Section 1 of Resolution Number 764-2006, which made a declaration of official intent with respect to reimbursement from subsequent borrowing of temporary advances made for capital expenditures for the site acquisition, design, and construction of a regional emergency operations center, increasing the approximate aggregate amount from $1,435,000 to $6,500,000. And number 70, A resolution approving the transfer of the property at 560 East 3rd Street from Community Ventures Corporation to Community Ventures Properties, LLC, a subsidiary of Community Ventures Corporation, and authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a subordination of mortgage agreement with Community Ventures Properties, LLC, and Republic Bank and Trust Company for subordination of the Urban County Government's mortgage on the property at 560 East 3rd Street to the mortgage of Public Bank and Trust Company.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilmember Lean for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to suspend the rules and get a second read on 42. I see. Maybe I should make a comment on that because I think our policy suggested by Councilmember Stinnett is to explain the reason for that. We have a contractor who would like to cut the grass out there and pay us $1,500 to do it, to use it for hay, and there's a time issue on getting that started.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Blevins.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been requested to suspend the rules to ask for a second reading of number 51. This is in order to open Southland Park's pool on time. We need to repave the parking lot to get that done. This is budgeted funds, so I don't feel like it's an imposition on the public's ability to comment. So moved.
Thank you. Councilmember James.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to suspend the rules. There are several of them, and all of these have to do with timing issues to move forward with projects, and time is of the essence. Number 56, number 57, number 62, and number 70. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Myers.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to suspend the rules and give second reading to 59, and it's there's a grant application that's due April 30th is the reason why. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like also number 50, due to a time frame of getting a project completed.
Thank you. Councilmember Beard.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to suspend the rules and ask for second reading on number 64. The reason being that involves the Meadowbrook Golf Course lease, and they've been playing golf out there now since April 1st, and we are just at the point of getting the lease drawn and executed, and I'd like to go ahead and get it in the shape to get executed immediately.
Thank you. Any other motions? My notes indicate that we have a motion to suspend the rules to give second reading to the following resolutions: 42, 50, 51, 56, 57, 59, 62, 64, and 70. Did I miss any? All right. Those in favor of suspending the rules to give second reading to those resolutions, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Number 42. A resolution accepting the bid of Fritz Farm Services, LLC, establishing a price contract for the lease of land for the West Hickman Wastewater Treatment Plant. Number 50, a resolution accepting the bid of Independent Concrete Pipe Company in the amount of $100,224.36 for prefabricated culvert Appomattox Road for the Division of Water and Air Quality. Number 51, a resolution accepting the bid of Asphalt Paving and Maintenance Incorporated in the amount of $69,987.75 for Southland Park parking lot modifications. Number 56, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County Government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed for the property located at 407 Shawnee Avenue from Patsy B. Wells for the Meadows Northland Arlington Phase 3B Improvements Project and authorizing payment in the amount of $55,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 57, A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute a certificate of consideration and to accept a general warranty deed for the property located at 408 Shawnee Avenue from Northwest Builders of Lexington Incorporated for the Meadows Northland Arlington Phase 3B Improvements Project, and authorizing payment in the amount of $37,000 plus usual and appropriate closing costs. Number 59, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute and submit a grant application to the Kentucky Department of Juvenile Justice and to provide any additional information requested in connection with this grant application, which grant funds are in the amount of $457,434 Commonwealth of Kentucky funds, and are for the operation of the day treatment program, $307,434, and the intensive community services program, for $150,000 for the Division of Youth Services. Number 62, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute an agreement with AMS Planning and Research Corporation for the Lyric Theater Programming and Business Plan at a price not to exceed $57,000. Number 64, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute a lease agreement with Board of Education of Fayette County, Kentucky, for lease of Meadowbrook Golf Course until November 15, 2008, until which shall supersede the term set forth in Resolution Number 115, 2008. And number 70, a resolution approving the transfer of property at 560 East 3rd Street from Community Ventures Corporation to Community Ventures Properties, LLC, as subsidiary of Community Ventures Corporation, and authorizing and directing the mayor on behalf of the Urban County government to execute a subordination of mortgage agreement with Community Ventures Properties, LLC, and Republic Bank and Trust Company for the subordination of the Urban County government's mortgage on the property at 560 East 3rd Street to the mortgage of Republic Bank and Trust Company.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve those resolutions? Have a motion by Councilmember Beard, second by Councilmember Myers, to approve the resolutions which just received their second reading. Is there any discussion? I see none, so let's proceed to vote. Those in favor, please vote aye electronically. Those opposed, vote nay electronically. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. Blues? Yes. Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. DeCamp?
Yes.
Mr. Ellinger? Yes. Ms. Gorton?
Aye.
Mr. Gray? Ms. Henson? Yes. Ms. James? Yes. Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCord? Yes. Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Stinnett? And Mr. Beard?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Those resolutions are approved. We'll move along to communications from the mayor. There are a number of appointments there for your approval. The floor is open for a motion to approve. Have a motion by Councilmember DeCamp and a second by Councilmember Myers to approve the recommendations. Is any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. There also are several communications for information purposes only under item 9. I'll leave those to your reading. We're now down to item 10, announcements. Does any council member have an announcement? Councilmember Henson.
I wanted to invite everyone to join me Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock with the Friends of Wolf Run Creek. We're going to clean out the creek at Appomattox and Maywick View Lane. So it is a real fun time. Wear your really old clothes, and I just love to get filthy dirty. So it's an experience. If you've not done it, I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you. Any other announcements? All right. That takes us down to public comment. I only have one individual that has indicated a desire to speak. Is Mr. Hollingsworth here? Mr. Hollingsworth, if you'd step to the podium and give us your address, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Gray, honorable councilmen and women, my name is David Hollingsworth, and I'm the Vice President of CSEA. 2 weeks ago, Rochelle Clay, the President of CSEA, stood before you and thanked you for your support of the men and women who make this government run. and for your good works on their behalf. I stand before you this evening and regret to tell you that there is a serious morale problem among the rank and file of this government. My father worked his entire life in middle management, and one of the many things he told me, one thing stands out. He said, if the work is valuable, you've got to value the worker. Think about that for just 1 minute. If the work is valuable, you need to value the worker. Ladies and gentlemen, the rank and file of this government comprise the backbone of this organization, and without them, this city could not function. When you call 911 with a life-threatening emergency, you're talking to the rank and file. The rank and file work behind the scenes every day to serve this city. When the roads get salted in the wintertime to keep the citizens of Lexington safe, it's because of the efforts of the rank and file. When the sewage is processed and the police and fire have safe vehicles, it's because of the rank and file. When the revenues are processed and purchases are made that keep this organization running, it's done by the rank and file. When the potholes in the streets are fixed and traffic moves freely because the lights are timed properly, it's because of the rank and file. The rank and file keep your buildings maintained and parks safe so that the children of this great city can enjoy them. The rank and file ensures that new building construction is safe and according to code. Every day, services are provided to the elderly and disadvantaged of this city by the rank and file, and they serve in 100 other thankless but valuable ways. The rank and file of this government is made up of decent, hard-working men and women, most of whom have devoted their entire lives to the safety and well-being of this good community.
Mr. Hollingsworth, you have about 20 seconds left.
Could someone come forward? I need a few more minutes. Could I have a couple more minutes?
The rules are that you have 3 minutes per speaker, and those...
Some of you may know that I'm a code enforcement officer, and I enforce city ordinances to ensure that rental properties are safe and decent places to live. One reason I do this job is because I have a deep respect for the law. Respect for the law is one of those key elements that determine a civil society. I ask you now to respect the law on behalf of the rank and file of this government. City ordinance requires this council to provide for the rank and file a minimum annual raise of 3.9%, or at least to follow the World at Work Index. This raise is, according to council, supposed to be given the highest priority. Sadly, the budget does not meet these requirements. As a code enforcement officer, I cannot pick and choose which ordinance I want to enforce. And I respectfully ask you now to value the workers of this government, not only because they are valuable, but because it's the law.
Thank you, Mr. Hollingsworth. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Lane, a second by Councilmember Gordon that we adjourn. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.